All right, I'm going to call the Justice Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes, with the February 7, 2023 minutes. Why am I struggling today? All right, can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Abraham, a second by member Schaefer. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is appearance by members of the public. County Administrator, do we have any appearances?
We do. We have one request by Zach Gittrich, and he will have 5 minutes to speak. And Zach, to remind you, it's the bottom right button in case you forgot.
Thank you. I just wanted to start this out by saying that I had talked to the chairman a while ago, and I'm paraphrasing, but he expressed how deeply saddened he was that I hadn't been here in a while, so I just wanted that on the record. I'm actually here to talk about a recent court case, the case of Fitzgerald Semedy. Semedy, until recently, was a District 87 school board member and is still, to my knowledge, a Republican precinct committee person. Last year, Semedy was caught driving under the influence of alcohol. Semedy was so drunk he had urinated himself in his pants. This was Semedy's fourth DUI, and he was driving on a suspended license. He refused to take a breathalyzer when prompted by police, which he has a legal obligation to do under Illinois law. When he was presented with a court order signed by a judge to comply with a breathalyzer, he again refused a judge's direct order, earning him an obstructing justice charge on top of 3 other felony counts for aggravated DUI, driving on a suspended license, and DUI while on a suspended license, and a few other misdemeanor charges. To add insult to injury, in a later jailhouse phone call with his wife, he bragged that, and again, I'm paraphrasing, he had gotten one over on the police by refusing to follow the law. He also said once in a Cities 92.9 interview prior to his arrest in relation to mask mandates that no school districts or anyone had the right to tell his child what they can or cannot do, implying he and his children are not bound by any law. The aggravated DUI charge has a possible sentence of 3 to 7 years in prison. The driving on a revoked license has a possible sentence of 1 to 6 years in prison, and obstructing justice, disobeying a judge's direct order, has a possible sentence of 1 to 3 years. So what punishment did Mr. Semedy receive when he finally pled guilty to repeated felony crimes and insubordination to authority figures? 30 months probation through Veterans Court. Talk about a sweetheart deal. Our appointed Republican State's Attorney, Erica Reynolds, gave Fitzgerald Semedy, a repeat criminal felon, a sweetheart deal. That's a really good deal. While Mr. Semedy was in custody, he can be heard calling his wife and ordering her to, quote, and this is a direct quote, call the McLean County Republicans and say, come get me. To me, this is evidence of a 2-tier justice system. There's a justice system for the politically well-connected, members of the status quo, and there's a justice system for us peasants. When it's the justice system for peasants, it's all about being tough on crime and law and order and obedience to authority. But when it's for elected officials and or party members, it's a slap on the wrist, even though the perpetrator bragged about how he felt he was getting one over on the cops, the judge, and the state's attorney. And he stated publicly he didn't think laws he doesn't like apply to him. Now, I'm not saying State's Attorney Reynolds gave this person, who could have been sentenced up to 10 years in prison, such a good deal because her and the defendant are of the same political party, or that both are well connected publicly. I'm not saying that at all. I am thinking it very loudly, though. The judge in the case, Judge Charles Feeney, said, quote, 70% of Semedy's diagnosed PTSD is tied to his military service. He served, I believe it was 2006 to 2008. Feeney says, that's huge for me. Allowing Semedy to return to the specialized probation programs serves the ends of justice. Veterans return with mental as well as physical wounds. We should be just as cognizant of the wounds we can't see. Unquote. I actually completely agree with Judge Feeney. I hope State's Attorney Reynolds will prove me wrong that there's a 2-tiered system of justice. I hope she recognizes that many people who come against her office at trial also have wounds that we cannot see. And I hope she offers similar mercy to other regular people who are prosecuted for similar crimes. Thank you so much.
All right, next item on the agenda is departmental matters. The first item on the agenda is item 4A, Matt Lane, McLean County Sheriff. We have no items for action. We do have his monthly statistical report. Matt Lane cannot be here tonight. If you have any questions for him, do you want them to direct them to you or you can direct them to the county administrator or to the county sheriff. Next item on the agenda is item 4B, Kathy Yoder, McLean County Coroner. We have no items for action, but we do have an item for information, the coroner's monthly report. Ms. Yoder, would you like to address that?
If anybody has any, is it on? If anybody has any questions, you may ask.
Does anybody have any questions of the county coroner? Member Bell.
Yes. Last time you were here, you were talking about that suicides are going up in McLean County. Has that tapered off in any way recently?
No.
Any other questions? Anything you'd like to add or say?
That would be sadly no, so it's something that we've been discussing. So I'm not, and they all have different reasons behind it. It's not one fix for one of the decedents. So that's the hard part. We all want to say it's one thing. Perhaps if they took, however it may be, but they were all for extremely different reasons. And that's the hard part.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is, where was that coming from? Was it coming from you? I was like, oh. Like, wait a minute, that's not Mike. All right. Sorry. Next item on the agenda is item 4C, Ron Lewis, Public Defender. We have no items for action. We do have one item for information, the Public Defender's caseload report. Mr. Lewis, would you like to address that?
I have nothing to address. Would be open to any questions. Some of the differences are mostly from the change we talked about all last year with the labeling of the cases that was put upon us by the Supreme Court, and that's what's showing some of the interesting numbers in the report, but I leave that with the Supreme Court change.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing that, anything else you want to say? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4D, Mike Donovan, Court Services Director. We have no item for action, but we do have the Court Services Director statistics and report. Mr. Donovan, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
Just that next month when you get it, the report will be a little bit different because we've did away with our specialized DUI officer position and combined it into line staff, and we're going to absorb those cases in our line staff population. So the numbers they'll be included in a probation supervision at the top of the report. Sure. Yes, sir, I will. No, sir. Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is item 4E, Don Everhart, McLean County Circuit Clerk. We have no items for action. We do have the Circuit Clerk's monthly statistical reports. Mr. Everhart, would you like to address that?
There's nothing, but I'll be glad to take any questions, though.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
Have a good evening, though.
She here?
No, Molly is not going to be here this evening. I can cover anything.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item 4F, Molly Evans, Children's Advocacy Center Director. We have no items for action. We do have one item for information, the monthly statistics. Ms. Evans was unable to make it tonight. Does any member have any questions? If you do, you can direct them to the county administrator. All right, seeing none. Next item on the agenda is item 4G, Will Scanlon Circuit Court. Two items for action. First item for action is item 4G1A, request approval of quote for remodeling a portion of the jury assembly room of the Law and Justice Center. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Abraham, a second by member Roseman Mendoza. Mr. Scanlon, would you like to address that?
Sure. This is a effort to remodel a portion of the jury assembly room, which is room 503 of the Law and Justice Center, where there's currently closet space to hang coats, open closet space. We're going to enclose a portion of it to provide storage space for forms, which are scattered throughout the 5th and 4th floors currently, and have them all in the same location. One thing we're sorely lacking anymore is adequate storage space.
Does any member have any questions? Member Bell?
You said forms, you mean like tickets or?
No, jury summons forms, juror
Okay.
envelopes, the,
Office supplies that
yeah,
you need to do your job?
all those items.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we're going to be voting on item 4G1A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item 4G1B, request approval of a sponsored research agreement with Illinois State University for work with McLean County's Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Abraham, second by member Schaefer. Mr. Scanlon, would you like to address that?
Yes, we've engaged in a number of discussions with the administration of Illinois State University. They're trying to convert some of their research agreements they have with various outside entities into what you see here, the sponsored research agreements. We've had contracts in the past with the Stevenson Center. They've been renewed on a regular basis, and they've asked us to move to this format of research agreement so they can have a uniform research approach regardless of department or outside entity. After we discussed that with them, they provided us a 2-year contract, one for the remainder of this year, and for fiscal year 2024, the 2023 contract is at the same rate that we had agreed to previously. So it does not represent any increase in the 2024, does not represent, I think it represents a 2% increase.
Does any member have any questions? Member Bell?
Okay, research means that, are you guys collaborating on cases or old cases, or it's, they have their own justice area, criminal justice, so are you guys working together on?
We're currently working with the Stevenson Center on, I think, 4 separate research projects. One's a long-term project regarding the management of the jail in terms of the population, managing the population of the jail, not the oversight by the sheriff. Let me be clear about that. The second one is a recidivism project involving juveniles who both were later booked in the adult system and juveniles who did not reappear in the McLean County adult justice system in any capacity, or at least to date. And we're looking at that. We're also looking at some behavioral health research with the BHCC, they're going to appear separately in front of the executive committee with their research committee. That's who they report to. We're looking at a component of the persons who go through the Fuse Center and whether or not they end up in the criminal justice system. So that's all being done with Dr. Frank Beck currently. We've had some short-term research with some of their criminal justice professors, but I don't think there's anything ongoing right now. We're also participating in a research agreement with Loyola University outside of this regarding the impact of the bail reform on persons who may be held in jail or may be released. But that's through Loyola University. It's outside of this.
So what's done with all that data once you compile it? And where is it disseminated to? Is it going to?
A lot of it's disseminated through the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, and all of it is disseminated to the state public defender, the court, and the sheriff's office. It also comes to the county administrator's office.
Thank you.
For the edification of the committee, will you just tell us what the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council is?
Criminal Justice Coordinating Council is an effort that goes back to 2007 to better manage the population in the jail was its original purpose. It was an effort to improve communication among the state, public defender, court, court services, and the sheriff and jail, particularly jail staff, in terms of managing the population in the jail. It was one of the entities that was involved in the research regarding building a new adult jail or adding to the adult jail. It has also been involved in the development of the Fuse Center and is trying to coordinate their efforts with the Juvenile Justice Commission of Bloomington Normal and the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council. Membership, there's about 34 members to the CJCC, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, including both Bloomington Normal Police Department, McLean County Sheriff's Department, all the departments in the Law and Justice Center involved in the criminal justice system, representatives from ISU, from the local bar association. We have public members and members from Illinois Wesleyan University. We also have a couple members of the clergy on there. I couldn't tell you who those representatives are off the top of my head right today, but I can get you a list.
County Administrator?
County administrators on it too. As well.
Yes, thank you. I would also add that it is also part of the foundation work group that began the Aegis project, which is the overhaul of our integrated justice system.
Correct. They're heavily involved in the development of the case management system, records, and jail management system.
Any other questions? Member Abraham?
Who determines the topic of the research that these students are conducting?
Generally, it's a consensus of those participants through the CJCC, but we'd be open to having discussions with entities if they have a significant research need they want to pursue that aligns with the goals of the CJCC.
Any other questions? Member Bell?
It's not a question. I would like to have the list of the 35 people from Cassie at a later date, please. Thank you.
Could you provide that list to all the members of the?
Yes.
I can provide that list to Ms. Taylor, who can provide it to the committee.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4G1B. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, next item is item for information. Mr. Scanlon, anything else you want to add here?
No, those of you who are on the property committee will be going over this jury assembly room construction project again on Thursday.
Gotta love our county board rules, right? All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Scanlon.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 4H, Erica Reynolds, McLean County State's Attorney. We have no item for action. We do have an item for information, the state's attorney's caseload and forfeiture fund reports. Ms. Reynolds, would you like to discuss that?
I don't have anything to add.
Does any member have any questions? Member Abraham.
Has there been any significant changes in your employment status in the office?
Yes, so we just had an assistant state's attorney position start Monday, so yesterday. That individual has taken the bar exam, is currently a 711, which is a license that they are allowed to practice law with someone supervising them, so an existing attorney supervising them. And so that's somebody that we can utilize as an assistant state's attorney, but they're technically not sworn in yet because they have not gotten their bar results yet. That person will get their bar results in April. At the point in which they receive those results, if they pass, then they'll be able to continue to practice under their 711 license until they're sworn in May. If they were to fail the bar exam, the 711 license automatically expires. And so it's to be determined whether or not we're going to be able to keep that person, but I'm confident that that individual will be here long term. And then the other individual just started yesterday in traffic, and that is a new hire. It's somebody who had interned with us previously. So currently we have 2 support staff vacancies and 2 attorney vacancies.
All right, seeing no other questions, anything else you'd like to add, Ms. Reynolds?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4I1A, Cassie Taylor, County Administrator. Item 4I1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2022 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the county board, sheriff, coroner, and circuit court budgets. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Roseman Mendoza, second by member Abraham. Ms. Taylor, would you like to say anything about that?
As indicated in the memo on page 61, this is an annual task in relation to the closing out of the general ledger, so it's a cleanup of those funds that were stated.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4I1A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is item 4I1B, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2022 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the McLean County Metro Communication Center Fund. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Abraham, a second by member Bell. Any questions? I should say, do you have anything you want to say about that?
I can answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4I1B. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is information. Anything you'd like to say?
I do not have any other items for information this evening.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is other business and communication. Anything anybody wants to say or address here? All right, seeing none. Next item is recommend payment of bills and transfers. I have a letter here from Michelle Anderson, our county auditor. She's reviewed the bills. and made sure they comply with McLean County policy. And I have bills in the amount of $526,535.74. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Member Schaefer, a second by Member Bell. Any questions or comments? Member Schaefer? I can. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the bills and transfers? Why don't I do it that way? Second, motion by Member Abraham, second by Member Schaefer. Any comments or questions? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right. I think that's it. We're adjourned. Have a great night.